First and foremost, I need to tell you that I believe in things of the supernatural realm. And I get it. When you smirk about it, I smirked once too. I always believed in ghosts, but all that other stuff about shadowmen, demons, little green guys, and mysterious-looking strangers was nothing but hogwash. Well, until my second son was born. I remember I was very pregnant and always tired because of the constant trips to the potty when everyone else was sleeping. One night, the baby was battering my bladder and I got up to go potty. I remember the night air. It was cold and frigid, and the groans of the water radiators were moaning in full force, and yet it was so cold, like someone had left a window open. I remember walking next to my 4-year-old daughter's room and literally feeling a wind blow out at me. This alarmed me, so I peeked in to check on her, and she was not in bed. About that time, I heard loud carnival sounds coming from her window, and I realized that her window was open. I think once you become a parent, you see or hear strange things, but when something is wrong with your child, you tend to file it in your brain under check back after helping your kid. And that was what I did, because that window had no screen and that window was on the 3rd floor. I ran as fast as my bloated belly could carry me towards the open window and looked down, praying to God Almighty she had not fallen. I cried with relief when I didn't see her there or any blood. So I called her name, and I heard her call back, "Mommy, please help me, please." She seemed so far away, as if she was outside, so I peered out of the window and looked across our acre lot, and my heart sank. She was there. She was in her red-footed pajamas, just standing in a large snowbank. She was crying for me, so I threw myself down the stairs and out the front door in the snow. I can honestly tell you that I didn't even feel that cold snow. I heard the crunch of the frigid covering across the blissful snow and ran towards the area where I had seen her. But when I reached that area, she wasn't there. I started looking for footprints, smashed up snow, but there was nothing. I was about to give up, go inside and call the police and wake up my husband and older son, when the carnival song got louder. It was at that point that the brain file where I had stored it earlier burst open, and I realized that this had something to do with my daughter. So I ran towards a group of misfits as they walked slowly towards me down the main road. As I ran, I noticed that there was a very tall, slender man with a black top hat on. He wobbled as if on stilts, and he was surrounded by your typical circus clowns. But what bothered me was the man beside him. He was a large, sandy-haired man with a golden face and blue eyes. He seemed to radiate romance and love. He had a tiger on one leash and a goat on the other, and their animal noises just seemed off. I yelled at him, "Please give back my daughter, please!" The man picked up speed, and everyone in the group started to laugh. But as I got closer, I realized that it wasn't a goat on a leash. It was his body. The bottom half of him was a goat. I stopped in my tracks and peed myself. I did. I'm ashamed of it, but I did. I was torn between fear for myself and fear for my daughter. At about this time, he screamed at me, "It's okay, Lynn. Let us inside your home and we will help you get your daughter back." I felt hypnotized by his voice, and I felt pulled towards him. I started to motion my hand towards my front door and beckon him in when I heard my daughter screaming frantically, "Mommy, Mommy, please get inside. Why are you outside? Stay away from that man, Mom. He is the bad man. Bad man, Mommy." I looked toward her voice, and there she was, in her room with her little pink nose pressed against her window screen. I cried tears, and they froze instantly on my face, but I managed to put my hand down and sprinted across the yard. I felt the tiger's breath behind me. They were all sprinting now and chanting, "Invite us in, Lynn! Invite us in, Lynn!" I managed to cross over the door frame of my house and slam the door. It was a close one. It was as if the man had ran right into the door behind me. The door seemed to bulge inward, but it stopped him. As I ran up the steps towards my daughter's room, they laughed outside my door. I ignored them and ran into my daughter's room, but when I got there, she wasn't there. She wasn't in her room. I didn't understand. I just saw her. And then a thought crossed my mind. What if I imagined her inside? What if she was still out in the snow? So I ran to the now open window and looked outside, hoping she was not out in the snow again, but she was. Her little red pajamas glistening in the moonlight. I decided that my mind was playing tricks on me, pregnant brain and all, but I knew I had to get my daughter. This time I took the back door outside and waded through the muddy dirt on our porch. I tried to sneak past the deviants at the front door, but I failed, and they danced around me and cursed me as I dug through the snow looking for my baby girl. I didn't find her, and they laughed and laughed at me. I remember trying to hit them with my fist, but I didn't land it. They were too fast. I remember screaming and screaming for help when my front door opened and my older son was there, standing at the door yelling, "Get in here! Come inside! What are you doing? You're gonna die in the snow!" I followed him like a ray of sunshine in the dark sky and yelled, "Wake up your dad! Call 911!" He just stood there and watched as I ran past him. I didn't recall if I shut the door, if he shut the door, or if the door ever got shut at all. What I do remember is running upstairs, seeing my daughter asleep on her bed. I picked her up and carried her into her brother's room and slept with them both next to me the rest of the night. My husband woke me up next morning, upset that I was asleep on the floor. I told him about my dream, and I was still not crying over it. He hugged me and said, "Everything is okay. It was just a dream, I promise." About that time, my water broke. As I looked down at the water falling on the floor, I noticed all the dirt on my feet. I looked at my hands and they were dirty, red and swollen as if my toes felt like they were on fire. I didn't have time to even comprehend these facts because I was okay, my kids were okay, and I'm going to get to see my new baby. Everything went well with the labor. All that I had wrong was some mild frostbite on my toes. I did not bring up the nightmare again, or whatever it was again. But that night, following the birth of my third child, I let the nurse take him to the nursery for a couple of hours so I could sleep. When they brought him back, something seemed off to me. His eyes didn't more blue, and his hair lighter than before. I sent him off to the nursery. I just chalked it up to exhaustion. On the way home, though, I was looking at my discharge papers, and stuck in the back of the folder was a dirty, crushed-up paper. I unfolded it, confused, and I felt my fingers tickle my back. It was an invitation to a carnival being held 10 years from now. It simply read, "We hope you enjoyed the entertainment, and we thank you for allowing us to use your home. We hope to see you next time." It was signed, "The Freaks of the Frigid Night." It had been almost 10 years, and I would love to tell you that my son is fine and wonderful, but I can't. Something just seems off with him. His teacher told me last month that he scares her, because he looks at her like he has evil in him. She says it's his eyes, and he is so much bigger than the other kids. I wanted to hit her for saying that, but I have seen something in his eyes as well. I don't know, but he turns 10 next month, and maybe, just maybe, after the freaks come back, I will finally get to see my son.